Hi, I'm Eric from FIU in Washington, D.C., and I'm here with Gabriela Hernandez and Stephanie Marsellos from the Women's Suffrage Centennial Commission. We are recognizing Women's Equality Day, August 26th, which recognizes the final adoption of the 19th Amendment. And so, Gabriela and Stephanie, can one of you tell us what the Women's Suffrage Centennial Commission is, and can the other one chime in with what everyone should know about how to participate in its events this year?
Absolutely, sure. So hi, my name is Stephanie Marsellos. I'm an FIU grad. I graduated last year in spring of 2019. I was a communications major, specifically public relations with a minor in marketing. And basically, the Women's Suffrage Centennial Commission was created by Congress to commemorate 100 years of the 19th Amendment, which gave women their constitutional right to vote. And we are a small team of 6 women with 14 politically appointed commissioners, and together we make up the Women's Suffrage Centennial Commission, and we have a lot of projects and programs going on for 2020, the centennial year.
I think that was a great summary. That's usually the go-to that we give people to kind of explain this very complex idea and kind of simplify it down. So yeah, we're a team of 6 amazing women, and between these 6 amazing women, we're running more than 50 projects and programs nationwide. But I think that one of the best ways to get to know what the commission is doing is to actually follow us on social media, especially after COVID hit. We've been very focused on having all of our events, all of our programs, all of our projects available online. So you can actually follow the commission at Women's Vote 100 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also check out our website at womensvote100.org. And you'll be able to find everything there that you need to know to get involved in the centennial.
We're all proud alumni and decked out in our best Panther gear right now. Gabriela, can you tell us a little about your FIU background, graduation year, and major and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually graduated same year as Stephanie. I'm an FIU grad from 2019. I double majored in international relations and political science, and naturally found my way into FIU in DC, and here we are.
Awesome. Now, I'd love to hear from both of you because I know how meaningful it is. Can each of you share why working on this commission is so personally meaningful to you?
Sure. I'll start. So I am a huge advocate for women's empowerment and women's rights. I always have been, ever since I was young. Like, I would always be that girl to go like play with the boys and just trying to get out there and, being a girl or a woman, I didn't want to hold me back from anything. So that's always been, just part of my personality and part of my my character. So when this opportunity presented itself to commemorate this huge milestone in American history and women's history, how could I say no to that? So that's just, I'm just honored and thrilled to be part, not only be a part and alive for like this once in a lifetime moment. I don't plan to be around for the bicentennial. So, it's incredible to not only just be around to witness it, but to be part of the actual planning and have a say in the planning and the execution of the centennial of women's right to vote, and it's incredible. And this history is so undertold. And when you really get to know it and learn more about it, it's very deep and rich and dramatic and complex and inspiring. And, it's incredible. And I'm just so like thrilled and honored that I've had this opportunity, and I'm so incredibly grateful for it.
Yeah, I mean, I can second all of that. Other than this being kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity, I think what makes it special for me is, the commission has worked so hard to be inclusive and diverse, not only in the people that we hire, but in the stories that we tell, right? So we're not your average, one class session on suffrage. This has been years in the making of how we were going to execute these projects and share this history. And being a part of it is incredible. Something that like I think of in my head when we're working on things is when it comes to inclusivity and making sure that everyone can get a hold of this information and this history is translation. I'm lucky enough to be bilingual in both English and Spanish, and I can assure you that I've definitely put that into the commission, making sure that our large projects and is accessible in both English and Spanish has been a project that I wish I could work on every day. I think it's super important. I mean, Spanish is one of the most spoken languages in the US, so why not make your content available in both languages if you can? So that personally, to me, as a Latina, as a Miami native, as a Cuban American, as a first generation Cuban American, I mean, it's so cool to see that your small role can still make an impact on how this information is shared and to whom it's shared. So that's definitely been amazing. And to experience that, I think at 21 years old is pretty cool. I didn't think that I would be doing this now, but you know, here we are.
You've both described this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and something that you're doing basically right out of your FIU career. So let's talk about how that happened. I know that both of you interned in Washington, D.C. immediately prior to getting your roles. Viewers should know that FIU and D.C. and our Talent Lab program and myself are here to help students with those D.C. internships, both in person and virtual in our current setting. Can you talk a little bit about your D.C. internship experience and how doing that might have led to these jobs?
Definitely. So I started out as an intern at the Bureau of Land Management, which is part of the Department of Interior. And it was interesting because my work experience prior to moving to DC was actually being an FIU student assistant, which was a great experience. But then, jumping into the federal government, it's just like a totally different world. So that was really cool to experience. And just living and working in DC is also very different from Miami, but again, like also a great learning experience. And through networking at my internship is how I got the job with the commission. Our internship coordinator, I had heard her kind of mention, Women's Suffrage Centennial Commission, and that immediately caught my attention because I know what women's suffrage means, and I know that that's a big deal, and Centennial, just everything about it called my attention. So I just kind of like asked her, hey, do you need any help with anything? In addition to my regular, internship tasks and responsibilities, I'd love to, assist in any way possible. And she said, yes. She took me up on it, and I started just helping her take meeting notes and putting together meeting minutes and meeting summaries. And then when my internship was wrapping up, I kind of just threw out there, hey, is the commission hiring? Do you guys have anything full time? Because taking all these meeting notes, I was listening to all these projects and stuff that were coming together, and I was like, this sounds amazing, and I want to be a part of it. So my internship at the Bureau of Land Management was great, and it was so cool to learn about public lands and how they're managed, and everything that goes on with them. But for me personally, I found the Suffrage Commission to be more in my lane and more tied to my passions and stuff, as I talked about before. But so I was so thrilled when they said yes and had me in for an interview, and I was just so happy that again I got the opportunity to work with them. So definitely networking through my internship and putting myself out there and kind of throwing out the ask and knowing how to ask was definitely very important. And of course, I definitely came to Eric for help, because I, lots of choices and planning next steps. And after my internship, what am I going to do? And so having FIU there with me in DC, the home away from home, was absolutely great. And I'm so grateful for them and their guidance and reassurance, and all my decisions thus far in DC.
I just think every time I hear Stephanie tell this story, because I think something that we should know is that me and Stephanie did not know each other until we joined the commission, until we got hired on the commission. I had no idea who Stephanie was. We graduated in the same year, went to the same school, and I had no idea who she was. So I think that's important to note. But Stephanie was actually my connection to the commission. And I met her through FIU and DC and through Eric. And I think it's really important to note that my whole journey from Miami to DC, being in DC, was very much tied to FIU in DC. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for FIU in DC, right? So when I first got here, Eric had connected me with this incredible nonprofit called Pay Our Interns. And that was my internship here in DC for 3 months. Obviously, they offered a paid internship because it's basically what they promote. It's a nonprofit advocating for intern pay, not only in DC, but worldwide, right? That's their ultimate goal. And basically, you can imagine the pressure. I had 3 months to figure out if I was going to be able to stay up here or not, and actually pay the bills and pay for rent. And we made it happen. I remember Eric every single week would send me list of job opportunities, whether that was part-time, full-time, anything that was a paid opportunity in DC, he was sending it to me. And one week I'm scrolling through and I see this same thing that Stephanie said. I see this thing that says, oh, Women's Suffrage Centennial Commission. I said, well, I know about women. I am a woman, and I kind of know about suffrage. So I like this one. And it was kind of history from there. But yeah, I mean, if it weren't for Eric's guidance and FIU and DC's guidance, I honestly wouldn't be here, because it's nerve-wracking, right? Like, we were both recent grads, moving away from home for the first time, both of us, and moving all the way up north. I mean, it's a big decision to make. So having just, even if it's that small, tiny office in downtown DC, it is a home away from home. And it means a lot that they've been there through this whole time, that you guys have been here through this whole time.
Really appreciate all those sentiments, and while I'm glad to take a little bit of credit for making the connections and keeping people informed, there's definitely something in both of your stories about the importance and impact of doing a really standout job in your internships. I mean, Stephanie, you relied on your internships coordinator to get that job, and if you were not really going above and beyond in your internship role, I mean, that's not something that would have been effective. And Gabriela, your former supervisors at Pay Our Interns still to this day talk about you as the best intern they've ever had. And so that made you really a standout candidate to join Stephanie, even though the FIU connection was there. That was a very earned thing for your internship performance. So getting that DC internship is one thing, but really making a name for yourself in a 3 or 4 month period, I think really makes the difference, and you two rocked at that. Gabriela, you mentioned COVID earlier, and all of our 2020s look different than we thought. I had barely touched Zoom before all of this began, and yet here we are. So I imagine the commission had many plans to plan and promote a lot of in-person activities. What has changed, and most importantly, what was the experience of professionally adapting to that change?
Oh, so many changes. It's interesting because even before the pandemic hit, we were going through tons of changes with the commission, whether it was, leadership or just the plans themselves, and when our boss went on maternity leave, and then we had a new boss, and it was just so much change. And then the pandemic hit, so it was definitely an experience. But I would say we adapted quickly and efficiently and just really well. Like, we were able to turn on a dime and take our projects and sort of reconfigure them and see, okay, how can we make this digital? And I think we did a great job, and it kind of worked out well because we were able to reach a much bigger audience than we would have otherwise. Technology is great. We're able to connect. I mean, through Zoom, we can have a bunch of people online, and hosting online webinars and stuff. So we've definitely been able to expand our reach, which is great. And while I'm definitely sad that, we had a bunch of great in-person programs planned, I think that our plan B is just as great as the original plans, and still definitely pays homage, to the centennial and the importance of this year.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It felt, everything moved so quickly. one day we were in our, my first ever commission meeting, one of Steph's commission meetings. And, we're there, it's the whole staff, our 14 commissioners, and it's very dramatic and beautiful. And we're presenting all of these wonderful ideas. And the very next day we started planning for evacuation, basically, from our office. And it moved so quickly, but it really shows what an incredible team has just come together, that it just worked, right? So a lot of I think what our projects were in-person events in major suffrage landmarks, if you will. So like Seneca Falls, New York, we had a lot of things planned there. We had stuff planned for Nashville, Tennessee. We had stuff planned all over the country. And we had planned to be traveling a lot actually this summer. And here we are. And I think one of the best changes that happened was we didn't realize how much our outreach would increase by just doing online, right? So while we did have these amazing Centennial events planned for in person, a lot of them were able to be saved and just transition to an online format, which meant that we weren't just going to be targeting people in Seneca Falls. We weren't just going to be targeting people in Nashville. We were going to be targeting people all over the US. And other than just expanding impact in 2020 and awareness of the history in 2020, it's the fact that all of the things that we've created, so we've created webinars, we've created panels, we've created YouTube videos, all of this digital content will exist and it will keep existing. And I think that it's going to be there in 10 to 20 years. You're going to be able to visit our website. You're going to be able to see these videos on YouTube. And I think that was a unique experience. And it was definitely a unique experience for us being this young, thinking, okay, I have a job, I'm going to go into the office and I'm going to do this job. And then having that flipped upside down and having to figure out and strategize, it's unique. And not a lot of people get that experience. And I'm glad we had it, honestly. I have now become kind of like our tech person. I hold, the webinars that we've had, everything that all of our live streams that we've hosted. I didn't know how to do any of that before. And we just had to figure it out as a team and we made it happen. So yeah, definitely new experiences and making this content accessible, not only in 2020, but for 2020 and beyond, has definitely been an impact of COVID.
That's all amazing. And I know in addition to your content, the two of you are people who will continue to make an impact beyond 2020. The commission is active through the end of this year. Any ideas or thoughts on what's next for you two?
If you find a crystal ball, let me know. To be honest, I'm keeping an open mind. Like Eric just said, the commission sunsets in December, which we have a few months, and kind of nerve-wracking, but also really exciting, because I never would have guessed, if you would have told me like last year when I was in my internship, or even like getting ready for graduation, trying to figure out what am I doing with my life, I never would have guessed that it would have been this, where, it's just incredible, everything that we've gotten to do in this role, and the people that we've gotten to meet, and the projects that we've gotten to work on at such high levels with such, empowered and like professional and just well-connected women that we're being mentored by and get to work with, so that all that networking that this job has done for me and taught me, I'm hoping will come into play within these next few months, and maybe I can put out another ask, and hopefully I'll find another cool job after this, and we'll see. But it's exciting, and although sometimes, like I said, nerve-wracking, and I might get anxious about like not knowing what January will look like. While that may be, it's also really exciting to think about how it's unpredictable. And that's part of what attracted me to DC in the first place, is that it's unpredictable, and you'll never know who you're gonna meet. You never know what you're gonna be doing, the special projects, and there's always something happening in the city, and it's a really cool place to be.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect description for living in Washington, D.C. and just job hunting is unpredictable. you just don't know what you're going to stumble upon. And I think I remember having this conversation almost every evening as Steph and I like would get on the metro, because we would both go into Virginia, so we would take a similar route, and we would have this conversation almost every evening of like kind of freaking out because we don't know what's going to be happening in January, but also being really optimistic and really excited because if we found the commission, like who knows what we're going to find in January. So yeah, it's just keeping an open mind. DC has definitely taught me that that's one thing that's very different from Miami, right? Is that DC, everything happens so quickly here. It's insane. I remember for my interview, I got interviewed that day, and then I got home that evening. That same evening, my now boss, Anna Lehman, calls me, and she's like, "Hey, we got the job for you. Are you ready to sign some forms?" And that's literally how it went. So yeah, just staying optimistic, being open to any opportunity that comes my way. That's the goal, right? Unpredictability was, I think, the name of 2020. So got to keep an open mind, and we'll see what happens.
Love that outlook. I am huge fans of the both of you. I'm so appreciative of you taking the time to chat with me today, and look forward to sharing your story with the FIU community. And you know that you can count on us to help in any way as you move forward. It was a pleasure to see the both of you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. And happy Centennial.
Happy Centennial.